Before the apocalypse arrived, my sister and I awakened system skills. She, being vain, rushed to choose leader's blessing, while I had to settle for the leftover supernatural space. As a result, she misused her skill and ended up surrounded by zombies in the resource-scarce post-apocalyptic world. At the critical moment, I saved her and let her take refuge in the food-abundant space pocket, sparing her from hunger and starvation. 3 years later, just when I thought I had safely survived the apocalypse, she used the leader's skill without permission, summoning all the zombie-infected people in the entire building into the spatial pocket. They gnawed at my skull, tore my limbs apart, while my sister watched me being tortured to death with a smile. You stole my spatial system from me. What makes you think you're the savior? I want you dead. I want you to know that everything you have should have been mine. When she opened her eyes again, her sister eagerly chose the supernatural space. I smiled. She didn't know that after binding with the system she didn't want, I could directly reach the peak of life. A cold mechanical voice sounded in her ear. Host, please quickly choose and bind the system you desire. 1. Supernatural space. 2. Leader's blessing. I opened my eyes and saw Gina, equally stunned, across from me. Could it be? The excruciating pain of my body being torn apart instantly sent blood surging through every limb and bone. Gina frowned and murmured, binding, system, supernatural space. She spoke before I could. I choose supernatural space, she sneered. In post-apocalyptic stories, the cheat system is always about hoarding supplies. With this, I could survive not just 3 years, but 30. I silently accepted the leader's blessing that she had left behind. The moment the skill was successfully bound, Gina looked at me triumphantly. Sis, this space is way more useful than your useless leader thing. I couldn't be bothered to respond to her. Looking at that arrogant face, I knew she had also been reborn. In the previous life, Gina and I awakened a system just before the apocalypse arrived. Faced with a dilemma, she, who loved being flattered, rushed to choose the leader's blessing, but because she didn't understand the skill description. During the most resource-scarce time, she actually used the leader skill, hoping to make everyone in the entire building worship her as the building leader. But for those who couldn't even solve their basic needs, after acknowledging the building owner, the first step was to have Gina bring out food to reward everyone. But where did Gina have any supplies left? She had no means to command the people in the building, and as a result, she ended up being hunted by them. When they came to seize the supplies, I happened to emerge from the spatial pocket. Seeing this, I had no choice but to drag her into the spatial pocket for refuge. I thought she would behave herself after this, but unexpectedly, just after a couple of peaceful days, she started using her leader skills again, attempting to command all the zombies to obey her. By the time I arrived, the zombies were holding her high and were about to start devouring her from the waist. I saved her into the spatial pocket once again. It has been a year since the high-temperature apocalypse, and zombies have just begun to appear. Using my spatial ability, I settled the poor souls who could no longer survive nearby into the spatial pocket. The people inside believe I saved them and call me the savior. Gina's repeated self-sabotaging actions have made everyone reluctant to get close to her. Even her boyfriend, Tom, only sees her as a tool to get closer to me. As a result, just before the apocalypse ended, she once again used her leader skill, summoning all the zombie-infected people in the entire building into the spatial pocket. In the end, all the safe people in the spatial pocket were devoured by the zombies, except for her boyfriend, Tom. I clearly remember, she looked at my corpse, her eyes filled with overwhelming hatred. Georgia, you stole my space system. What gives you the right to have everyone call you the savior? I want you dead. I want you to know that everything you have should have been mine. So this time, she chose the supernatural space, without hesitation. That very night, I heard her giggling in the room. Sister, in this life, you are still doomed to die, and I will become the savior that everyone adores. The next second, she took out her phone and called her boyfriend. Tom, if you beg me now, I'll consider saving your life the next time you're in danger. I didn't want to listen to the rest of the conversation, but it's easy to guess. Foolish as she is, she thought that having a special ability space would give her control over others. In her previous life, she never quite figured out how to use the system's skills. In this life, will she finally get the hang of it? A fool is a fool, no matter what script they hold. It doesn't change the fact that they're a pig. In this life, no matter what happens, I won't show any mercy again. I won't give her another chance to hurt me. There are 5 days left until the high-temperature apocalypse. There's still time for everything. I first went to the home of the wealthiest person and used the leader's blessing skill to make him recognize me as his godmother. he also voluntarily signed the asset transfer agreement. As long as I want, I can freely control all the liquid assets of the Howard Group, to have more liquid assets in reserve for the end times. I had them sell off all their equity and fixed assets. In the next 3 years, all businesses will come to a halt. The key to survival is to stock up on more supplies now. The money issue has been resolved. Next comes the supplies. Under the pretense that the Howard Group needed suppliers, I bought up all the food and drinks I could get my hands on. Of course, the focus is on foods that are durable and provide a strong sense of fullness, such as instant noodles, compressed biscuits, and similar items. In addition to ready-to-eat foods, I have also acquired several daily necessities manufacturers. Not only that, sustainable food is also essential. In the post-apocalyptic world, no matter what kind of food you have, it will eventually run out. Only by recycling resources can we ensure our survival. That's why all kinds of easy-to-grow vegetable seeds and various convenient-to-raise animals were transported to the massive warehouse I purchased. But even with all this, it is still far from enough. In the previous life, food in the ability space could be replicated under certain conditions, so even if the supplies I stockpiled at the very beginning weren't sufficient, I could still obtain more food based on the replication principle. But now, that condition is no longer available. I can only rely on my experience from the previous life to stockpile all the necessary supplies. So, after running around all day, I bought everything I could think of. Just as I got home and was about to rest properly to recharge for another big shopping spree the next day, I discovered that an unexpected guest had arrived at the house. Sis, the apocalypse is coming, and I don't want to be separated from Tom, so I brought him home. Looking at Gina in her cool pajamas, I really want to pry open her brain and see what kind of dirty thoughts are inside. There are only 4 days left until the apocalypse, and she's not even the slightest bit panicked. She even has the time to flirt with some random guy. But this house was bought by me. It has nothing to do with her. What gives her the right to bring people to live in my home? I retorted without holding back. What use is he coming? Can he withstand high temperatures? Or can he block zombies? Sis, I know you're jealous of me, not only for my skills but also for my man. Gina leaned closer to me as she spoke. If you can agree to lend me some money, I promise that when the apocalypse comes, I'll let you die with dignity. Okay, am I insane or crazy? Die with dignity? Lend her money? I'm really losing my mind because of men. I rolled my eyes and replied coldly, I don't have money. I can't even afford to raise a chicken anymore. Gina immediately shouted in confusion, why would you raise a chicken? Those ugly, dirty things. If you dare to raise one, I'll throw you out to feed the zombies. I turned to look at her. Gina, I didn't expect you to hate me this much. Realizing she had overreacted and afraid I might notice something off, she immediately lowered her head and apologized. Sis, not at all, I just don't like pointy-beaked animals. By the way, I took all the snacks from your shelf. I'm sure you'll find a way to get more food, right? I never thought that, even in this second life, she would still be so selfish and cold-hearted. She even took my snacks. In her mind, leadership skills were useless. Now, she doesn't even leave me any food. Clearly, she wants me dead. Besides, she's not alone now. That Tom is also a sly and cunning piece of work. In the previous life, when Gina had no resources, he immediately dumped her and found a sugar mommy to support him. Later, when they found out I had a dimensional pocket, they came back begging to make up with Gina. Gina, the fool, actually believed his sweet talk. She even disregarded my safety and asked me to save him. Later, in order to hoard the supplies for himself, he even drove a wedge between Gina and me. Two scoundrels together, they don't do a single decent thing. I couldn't be bothered to say more and simply nodded. She smiled and said goodnight to me, then turned and went back to her room, until a loud noise was heard. True, even as a ghost, one would be dashing. Now Gina has already moved in with Tom at my place. For safety reasons, I definitely can't stay here when the apocalypse comes. After thinking for a while, I decided to set up my home on a cruise ship. This way, not only can I be mobile, but I can also make good use of the intense solar energy to generate electricity. Thinking that I'm now using the Howard Group's money, I must ensure the safety of the Howard Group's key personnel. Even though the system warned in advance that the apocalypse is coming and human hearts are treacherous, having lived through the previous life, I know that many kind and pitiful people can only become food for the wicked in the apocalypse. Good people shouldn't die like this. Besides, the apocalypse won't last a lifetime. After 3 years, the extreme heat will fade away. I want to do everything I can to protect as many good people as possible. Otherwise, even if the apocalypse passes, if only the most vicious and evil people remain, what would be the point of rebuilding civilization? I don't want to struggle through the apocalypse only to have to constantly watch my back among the survivors afterward. With that in mind, I immediately secured all the cruise ships in the world. The cruise ships are already equipped with all the necessary facilities. With just a bit of renovation, it can be turned into an independent villa. First, I sealed all the deck terraces of the cruise ship with bulletproof glass. This not only allows light to pass through but also prevents zombies from climbing into the cruise ship. The top of the cruise ship is covered with solar generators to meet all the power supply needs on board. The cruise ship is equipped with ventilation openings all around, and with the installation of an air filtration system, there's no need to worry about oxygen deficiency. At the bottom of the cruise ship, I installed 100 water pumps and seawater desalination equipment. This makes it convenient to supply basic water for the crop cultivation and animal farming areas on the lower deck. The lower deck is also equipped with a waste and garbage recycling system, achieved the recycling of underlying resources, greatly reducing consumption. Of course, the cruise ship itself stores thousands of tons of drinking water, ensuring a double guarantee of sufficient water supply. After a day and night of preparation, I have finally transformed my cruise ship into a well-resourced and joyful home. Chickens, ducks, fish, cattle, sheep, and pigs are noisily thriving in their respective areas. The seeds have been sown, just waiting to sprout. The cruise ship is fully equipped, just waiting for me to board and set sail. However, this was earned with my life in a previous existence, and I have no intention of sharing this cruise ship with anyone, but whether it's sailing or entertainment. The cruise ship requires personnel to maintain all its equipment, and relying on me alone is certainly not enough. I called the Howard Group and asked them to arrange as many varieties of robots as possible for the cruise ship. Now, I can finally rest easy and wait for the arrival of the high-temperature apocalypse. Before Gina got home, I installed all the pinhole cameras I just bought in various corners of the house. Having lived a second life, how could I be the only one enjoying happiness? I want to monitor her every move on video, watch her fall into misery with my own eyes, and then witness her self-destruction. After doing all this, I packed up everything usable in the house and left with my suitcase in a carefree manner. The red wine on the cruise ship is a 1982 Lafite. The one serving the drinks is a robot male model with 8-pack abs. No wonder the Howard Group became the wealthiest. With just a little guidance from me, I get to enjoy such a great life. I've even started fantasizing about a life of indulgence and luxury for the next 3 years. TSK, overwhelmed by happiness, I quickly opened my phone to check on the life of my counterpart, Gina. You never know until you see it, and it's shocking when you do. She actually brought Tom's entire family to my house. She even had Tom's mom wear my clothes and sleep in my bed. I was so angry I was pounding my chest. And she happened to call. "Sis, you're not coming home, right?" She was quite blunt. "Well, my company recently sent me on a business trip, and I won't be back for a while." "Okay." She couldn't hold back her laughter on the other end of the phone. "So, sis, I used all the money in your card to stock up on supplies. You won't blame me, right? These past couple of days, I've been spending Howard Group's money. I haven't paid any attention to the deduction notifications on my phone at all." I took out my phone to check my balance. It actually showed 0. She really had the nerve. If I hadn't been reborn, with no money at all, I wouldn't have been able to survive this mode. Seeing that I didn't respond, Gina continued, "Sis, even if you buy supplies, you have nowhere to store them. I have a special ability space, so it makes sense for me to stock up and keep them there." Is this her reason for spending all my money? I was so angry that I couldn't stop coughing violently. Before hanging up, I faintly heard, "Ugh, it'd be best if you died out there. So you don't come back and disturb me and Brother Ma's time together, huh?" Not only did you not remind me to be safe, but you even wished for my early death. In my previous life, I provided her with food and drink. When she was in college, to prevent her from feeling inferior, I gave her $3,000 a month in pocket money. After graduation, she said she didn't want to work. To avoid putting pressure on her, I took on 3 jobs so she could stay comfortably at home. But now, besides clinging to me and sucking my blood, she is also pushing me to the brink of death. After being reborn, I often ask myself when Gina turned bad. Now I know, she was inherently a malicious person. The apocalypse just allowed me to see her true nature more quickly. I am completely disappointed in her. A notification about my bedroom popped up on my phone. I clicked on it and heard Tom's parents talking. This Gina is so shameless, they were just dating. And she already brought herself to live in our home. I heard she's lazy and gluttonous, and this house actually belongs to her sister. How is someone like her worthy of being with our son? If it weren't for her talking about the apocalypse, I wouldn't even bother looking at a woman like her. If the world doesn't end in 3 days, I'll make sure her nude photos are everywhere. By the way, tell Tom to keep stringing along that rich second-generation heir, I snorted coldly. Keeping one foot in the door while eyeing another, this pair is truly a match made in heaven. There are only half a day left until the apocalypse begins. I gave a cruise ship to the Howard Group and instructed them to bring a large number of bodyguards. Only those who are useful to the Howard Group are allowed to board with them. For the other cruise ship, I used the latest character assessment device developed by the Howard Group to screen people. Only those who meet the required score are allowed to board, and the number of people on each ship must be kept below 1,000. After all, a cruise ship is a small, enclosed space. If it's overcrowded, the people on board will struggle to survive. I'm doing this to save as many lives as possible, not to let them fight to the death over supplies on the ship. I believe that having been reborn, I am fully prepared to help them safely survive the apocalypse, since I have chosen leader's blessing. I must take responsibility for my role as a leader. I was able to prepare all of this effortlessly, without any interference, all thanks to this skill. In my previous life, saving people was a requirement of the skill, and in this life, I have the strength to save. If Gina wants to be the savior so badly, then I'll be the one to take on that role. During my time on the cruise ship, when I feel like exercising, I grow vegetables and feed the chickens. When I want to rest, I have the robots give me a spa treatment. The robots here can keep me company and chat with me, so I never feel lonely, and they completely cater to my preferences. When I'm bored, I just watch TV and binge-watch shows. Without the burden of Gina, I no longer live in constant fear like I did in my previous life. When I feel like life has lost its joy, I turn on the surveillance and watch the comedic antics of Gina and Tom's family. Now they have just woken up from a nap. While Gina is getting dressed, Tom pinches her calf. Gina, you're amazing. You really knew the heat wave would last. Gina pouts. Of course, Tom, as long as you treat me well, we can definitely get through this crisis. Then, Gina, can you share some more food with me? Gina frowned slightly at his request. Tom, who are you giving it to? Didn't I already bring your parents over to live and eat with us? Tom scratched his head. Gina, I have a childhood friend who lives downstairs, and he begged me to help him out. Please, Gina, just do it for me, okay? Just like in the previous life, Tom would go to any lengths when it came to resources. Gina gently bit Tom's shoulder and said coquettishly, then swear that you'll love me forever, and I'll share the food with you. Tom immediately raised his hand, knelt before Gina, and spoke words that were as shocking as a thunderbolt. Gina was so delighted by his flattery that she took out a box of bread and a box of instant noodles from her spatial pocket, but Tom was still not satisfied. He pursed his lips and said, Gina, didn't you also stock up on some premium meals? Could you give me 3 of them? The money in my card was already limited, so Gina could only afford to buy some convenient fast food. The remaining money was just enough for her to purchase 5 premium meals, which she had planned to save for when she couldn't resist the craving anymore. Yet now, Tom had the nerve to ask for 3 of them. Seeing Gina's troubled expression, Tom cupped her face and said, Gina, my friend's family is very wealthy. Once the heat crisis is over, he will definitely repay us generously. Think of it as an investment for now. Anyway, the supplies we've stockpiled are more than enough for us to eat. After hesitating for a moment, Gina pouted and reluctantly handed the meal to Tom. Watching the surveillance footage, I really didn't know how to scold this fool. When she was reborn, did she only remember to compete with me for the system skills, forgetting Tom's betrayal in her previous life? In her previous life, Tom abandoned her for the sake of food, following a wealthy woman to enjoy a life of luxury. Where does she get the confidence to think that Tom would be devoted to her in this life? But what does that have to do with me? If she wants to mess up her own life, that's her business. I'm just treating it as entertainment. Just then, the robot told me that the ingredients for grilled lamb chops were already prepared on the deck. I lay on the massage chair, with a glass of red wine in one hand and a lamb chop in the other. The robot sensed my cheerful mood, took a photo, and helped me post it on my social media feed. His photography skills are truly impressive. The picture made me look like I was either vacationing by the seaside or camping and barbecuing. I picked up a sizzling lamb chop and put it into my mouth. Oh my, The milky aroma of the lamb chop mixed with the cumin flavor was absolutely delicious. Master, someone named Gina commented, asking where you're eating all these delicious things and why you don't think to bring her along. With delicious food in hand, I have the world at my feet. I couldn't be bothered to respond to her, just kept stuffing lamb chops into my mouth. But this annoying person, seeing that I didn't reply, called me directly. Sis, I miss you so much. Where are you? Chewing on meat, I mumbled in response. Didn't I tell you last time? I had to go on a business trip. Sis, you're lying to me again. How could you go out enjoying good food and drinks all by yourself, not caring about me at all? She's really good at turning the tables, eating with great enthusiasm. I instructed the robot. Bring me the salmon I just sliced. Sis, where are you? How come there's salmon too? Wah, sis, you know I love eating salmon the most. Sis, can you bring some back for me to eat? Chew, chew, chew. No, it's 50 degrees outside. Are you trying to get me heatstroked by asking me to go home? Sis, it's just a trip back home. I believe you can figure it out. Do you really have the heart to let me starve? She really dares to ask. I firmly refused. No way. The robot sensed that I didn't want to talk anymore and immediately hung up the phone for me. Turn on the surveillance at the old house. On the robot's screen, my dear sister was poking a needle into my photo. Ha ha ha, useless people can only get angry. Of course, leader's blessing. The benefit of this skill is that as long as I give benefits to those who listen to me, I won't suffer any backlash. Even if I act a bit maliciously, it doesn't matter. But dimensional space is different. Its skill is powerful, but it also has many usage restrictions. I rolled my eyes and sent a message to Tom. Hey, brother-in-law. Gina is still so good to me. She gave me all the nice things. Meanwhile, you guys are stuck at home eating instant noodles. Ha ha ha. I picked my teeth while watching Tom punch and kick Gina on the surveillance feed. You bitch, you said you had no money to buy nice things, but you gave everything to your sister, didn't you? You even tricked me into hoarding goods with my money, you bastard. Are you looking for death? Gina, with her hair disheveled, knelt before Tom, begging for mercy. Brother Tom, I really didn't. Everything I bought is in the spatial pouch. If you don't believe me, you can check. Tom slapped her face 3 more times. You wretch, what good is that spatial pouch of yours? Wherever you store the supplies, it's the same. Why did it have to be with you? You just wanted to deceive me, didn't you? You despicable woman, you'd make up any lie just to sleep with me. Gina was already beaten so badly she couldn't straighten up. She could only cling to Tom's pant leg and beg for mercy. Tom, no, I really didn't. Did that bitch Georgia say something to you? Don't believe her. My feelings for you are genuine. If you don't believe me, I can let you check my storage space. It's really stocked full of the supplies we need to eat. Hearing Gina say this, a smirk curled at the corner of Tom's mouth. All right then, show me. I watched from the surveillance as Tom tied up Gina. And then he and his parents moved out most of the supplies. If my house weren't too small to hold them, they would have taken out all the food. Then, they carried the supplies out, trip after trip. I thought Tom was taking the supplies back to his home. As a result, he finally said to Gina, you foolish woman, lying in the same bed with you truly disgusts me. I'm going to live a good life with the wealthy woman downstairs now. If you dare cause trouble for me, I'll make sure you suffer a miserable death, understand? Then, ignoring his sister's tearful pleas, he closed the door and left. So, the childhood friend he mentioned earlier was that wealthy woman. That fool Gina, after being reborn, focused all her attention on me, but she never expected that Tom had already used her to secure a comfortable life. Now, seeing Gina tied up from head to toe, I immediately opened a bottle of red wine to celebrate. I have no intention of saving her. I just feel that if she were to die like this, it would be letting her off too easily. I hummed a tune while watering the flowers on the cruise ship. The Howard Group has now developed the capability for teleportation between robots. They send me fresh bouquets of flowers every day. Now, my deck is surrounded by flowers. Not only that, but in the past 6 months, the Howard Group has overcome the issue of cameras being unable to perceive scents. Their ship has chefs from all over the country. And they send me photos. If I like the smell, they deliver it to me, and the robots on my side have incredible learning abilities. Just by smelling the aroma and looking at the dishes, they can replicate them. Right now, the temperature outside is almost 60 degrees. Everyone has to stay indoors with the air conditioning on, and almost all businesses have come to a halt, but I told the Howard Group that crises always pass. And they must continue developing new products during this period to remain competitive in the future. Moreover, in another 6 months, after high temperatures trigger various illnesses, zombies will begin to spread. They also need to accelerate the development of new products to combat zombies, to ensure the safety of the people on our cruise ships. Of course, if you have the capacity, you can help others outside. I always believed that the system gave me skills not just for self-defense, but to enable me to help more people. Of course, in the current apocalypse, you must ensure your own safety and not be overly self-sacrificing. For example, like how I treated Gina in my previous life, it only led to severe retaliation. Speaking of Gina, it seems like it's been a long time since she last came to see me, just when I thought she might be dead. I checked the surveillance and was shocked to see that she had broken free from the ropes and was hiding in a corner of the room, munching on bread. Strange, how could she resist not looking for me? The robot beside me spoke up. Master, I sense that you don't like her, so I blocked her calls. TSK, how could that be? If I can't receive her calls, won't I only have a sense of achievement but no fun? I decisively removed her from the blacklist. Within 3 seconds, Gina's call came through. Sis, dear sister, please, you have to save me. The robot fed me a bite of the watermelon that had just been delivered. What's wrong, sis? Do you know, that jerk Tom actually hit me? Gina cried very sadly. He even took away a lot of my supplies, took a bite of the steak. Chew chew chew. He said he would love me forever, but it turns out he was lying to me all along. The fried skewers are really delicious. Chew chew chew. Sister, he even swore that if he ever wronged me, he would be struck by lightning. Woo woo. But the world is so unfair, no one has punished him. The roast chicken is so delicious too. Munch munch munch. Gina paused for a few seconds when she saw I was ignoring her. Only then did she hear the sound of me munching munching munching. Sister, what are you eating? Watermelon, steak, fried skewers, grilled meat. It smells so good, she exclaimed. Sister, where on earth are you? How can you be living so well? Isn't this your own choice, sis? This supernatural space is not useful at all. The food doesn't increase at all. Back when I used the supernatural space, I told her that this skill could duplicate food, but to keep her from worrying, I didn't mention that this function requires actively sharing food with those in need to activate it. For example, if I give away 2 fish today, the space pocket will produce 4 more fish. So in my previous life, I was always helping people by giving them food, but Gina didn't know this. So when she was preparing supplies, she simply didn't stock up too much, thinking the spatial pocket would automatically duplicate them. I took a sip of Sprite. Gina, whether in the previous life or this one, you were the one who chose the system skills first. It's your own fault for not knowing how to use them properly, which is why we're in this situation now. By the way, stop thinking about eating all the time. Zombies are coming soon. You should focus more on whether my house can withstand them. Gina screamed frantically. Georgia, so you're also reborn, you wretch, you've been pretending for so long. Hurry up and tell me, how exactly do I use this supernatural space? Georgia, before our parents passed away, they told you to take good care of me. Is this how you treat me? How dare she bring up our parents? If it weren't for our parents, I would have stabbed her to death the moment I was reborn in this life. How could I have let her live this long? Now I am no longer bound by morality. Moral coercion simply can't affect me anymore. I hung up the phone, watching her crazy antics of smashing walls everywhere on the surveillance feed. My dear sister still doesn't know when to stop. If she ends up breaking the wall, it would be as easy as taking candy from a baby for the zombies to get to her. But I still feel this isn't stimulating enough. The clever robot has already filmed a vlog of my life on the cruise ship. To avoid making others jealous, he specifically sent it only to Gina. If she gets so angry that she smashes the house, that would be a disaster. After a year of continuous high temperatures, the zombie outbreak still occurred. Cruise ships are much safer at sea than on land. Through the robot's network monitoring system, I saw that the city was already overrun by zombies. The Howard Group still hasn't found a solution to the zombie problem. I can only stay inside the cruise ship, living a life where robot male models kneel to feed me drinks. As for Gina's life, it hasn't been as fortunate. On the surveillance feed, the zombie guard was ferociously banging on the door outside. She trembled and hid in the corner, shedding tears, because from the high-temperature apocalypse to the zombie outbreak, she had never helped others. So the time she could stay in the ability space was very limited. She definitely wouldn't hide in there unless it was absolutely necessary. I thought the zombies would break in at that moment, but after a while, it became much quieter outside the door. probably got distracted by some other noise. Just as I thought everything was fine and was about to turn off my phone, I heard Tom's voice outside the door. Gina, Gina, it's me. Open the door quickly. Interesting, really interesting. Gina learned her lesson a little and refused tearfully. Tom, I won't trust you anymore, get out of here. But outside the door, Tom persisted in coaxing her. Gina, after leaving you, I realized that I really can't live without you in my life. I was deceived by that bad woman before, it was my fault. Please open the door and give me a chance to make it up to you. Okay, Gina, the hallway is full of zombies right now. I know you're scared, please open the door quickly, and I'll protect you. Okay, protect, it would be a miracle if he didn't get Gina killed, I sneered coldly, but Gina had already fallen for his sweet talk and was trembling as she got up to open the door. The door had just opened a crack when Tom quickly barged in. Gina threw herself into Tom's arms and cried, Brother Tom, I'm so scared, but Tom pushed Gina away viciously, grabbing her by the neck and demanding, Bitch, do you have any food left? Give it to me now. Only a fool like Gina could fall for the same man 4 times, she struggled, tears welling up in the corners of her eyes, but Tom showed no mercy, grabbing Gina and lifting her up entirely. Left with no choice, Gina used her last bit of strength to nod in agreement. Tom released his grip, and she collapsed to the side, gasping for air. For some reason, zombies have started gathering around the area again. Tom held a knife to Gina's chin and threatened, If you dare make a sound, I'll kill you. Gina nodded. Get the food out first. With Tom's permission, Gina swiftly entered the dimensional pocket alone. I watched with interest on my phone, wondering if she would come out again. Not long after, she emerged carrying 2 boxes of bread. It seems she didn't dare. She was afraid that if she stayed in the ability space for too long, she would still be forced out and face certain death. You're lucky you're still somewhat useful, you wretch. Tom grabbed the bread and began devouring it ravenously. While he wasn't paying attention, Gina quickly ran to the entrance, opened the main door, and then dashed toward the direction of my bedroom. But she's already exhausted. How could she possibly outrun the vicious Tom? The zombies outside, hearing the commotion, have opened their bloody mouths wide and are menacingly moving in this direction together. Gina's hand is about to touch the bedroom doorknob. As long as she reaches my bedroom, she can survive a little longer. At the critical moment, Tom grabbed her from behind and lifted her by the waist. Then he threw her into the horde of zombies. While the zombies were devouring Gina, he quickly hid in my bedroom. Gina, you think you can outdo me in ruthlessness? You're still too naive. I even fed my own parents to the zombies, let alone a scumbag like you, still trying to play tricks with me. Go die already. Meanwhile, Gina stared in agony. Wanting to escape but finding herself trapped for good, I activated the intercom function on the surveillance system. My dear sister, what a pity that you died just like that. In your previous life, you at least lived until the end of the apocalypse. With her last ounce of strength, she roared, Georgia, if there is another life, I will never let you off. I sneered, Gina, do you think someone as malicious as you deserves to be reborn? Don't dream about it. What awaits you is nothing but an endless cycle of hell. I had just finished speaking, and Gina was like a deflated balloon, discarded by the zombies. Tom also heard what was just said. At this moment, he is watching the surveillance, trying to talk to me. I also detest this scumbag to the extreme. He begged me to save him. I silently used the remote to open the bedroom door. Just like that, the zombies instantly swarmed in and devoured him completely. I let out a long sigh of relief. The pain from my previous life has finally ended. I can finally welcome a better ending in this life. Just as I was lamenting that there was still a year until the end of the apocalypse, the robot's screen lit up. The RD team at Howard Group excitedly shared with me that they had developed several combat robots capable of destroying zombies and preventing them from reproducing. This is really great. I asked them to dock as soon as possible and put it to use in the city, and then, they told me another piece of good news. They have found a way to lower the global temperature. I didn't understand the technical terms, but all I could do was urge them to act quickly. It turns out, I can not only save myself in the post-apocalyptic world, I can also lead everyone to forge a path of survival under extreme conditions. Perhaps this is the meaning behind the system giving me a second chance at life. After hearing the first story above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Next, there is another similar story. Let's continue to see. In the apocalyptic rainstorm, my best friend's boyfriend suddenly wanted to move in with her, claiming it was to protect her. I advised my friend to think twice, as it's always wise to be cautious of others, my friend agreed with me verbally. But then she immediately forwarded my words to her boyfriend and falsely claimed that I had taken all her supplies. Later, her boyfriend blocked my door, and while I was out, he cut off my hands and feet, traded me for supplies, and finally stabbed me 18 times. My best friend cried as she helped him dispose of my body. When I opened my eyes again, I had been reborn on the day her boyfriend sent the message. She asked me hesitantly, should I let Jack come and stay? I nodded with a smile. Of course you can, when Jack charged at me with a kitchen knife. I saw my best friend Rachel right behind. I thought she would stop Jack. After all, we've been best friends for 10 years, but all I heard was her soft voice, Jack, don't be impulsive, just give her a little lesson. Sarah didn't mean to drive a wedge between us on purpose. However, these words were like pouring a bucket of oil on Jack's fury. The madness in his eyes was instantly ignited. With a ferocious expression, he roared at me, a lesson, I'm going to take her life today. I instinctively resisted, but I was distracted by Rachel's sudden scream. Jack seized the opportunity to grab me and cut off my hands and feet. Blood was spilled all over the ground. I looked helplessly at Rachel, who was standing nearby. Jack gasped for breath and threw the knife in his hand. Only then did she rush forward in tears, pounding on his chest. Jack, how could you do this to her? How could you? She acted as if she were truly sad for me, her best friend. But when Jack offered to trade my body for supplies, she agreed without hesitation. I even heard her whisper a complaint, Sarah, if you hadn't resisted, maybe things wouldn't have turned out this way. I just found it ridiculous. As I laughed, tears started to stream down. At first, she told me that Jack had sent a message saying he wanted to live with her to protect her, but she was worried that Jack was after her supplies. So she asked for my opinion. I advised her to think twice. But she immediately told Jack what I said, and added with a grievance, I wanted you to come too, but Sarah wouldn't allow it, and she even took my supplies. It has been raining heavily for several months, everywhere has fallen into chaos. Jack, at the end of his rope, has lost his sanity. He desperately blocked my way and frantically stabbed the knife into my body, watching helplessly as my body was broken like a rag doll, violated by different people. Seeing the two of them move into my house and take over my supplies, I hate it. I refuse to accept this. I could have survived the disaster just fine, but I died from my best friend's betrayal. Finally, I went mad and bit Rachel, who was trying to see if I was dead. I successfully bit off one of her fingers, but I was also slashed 18 times by Jack, who charged at me, leaving me mangled and bloody. At the moment of death, a sudden white light flashed before my eyes. A white light enveloped me. When I opened my eyes again, the rainstorm was still raging outside the window. I was sitting on the sofa at home, completely unharmed, still holding my phone in my hand, and Rachel hesitantly asked me, should I let Jack come stay with me? Watching Rachel's lips open and close, I hadn't yet processed it. I clenched my hand tightly, feeling the sting of my nails digging in. I just realized, I have been reborn. Slightly dazed, my thoughts drifted far away. I have always been well-liked since I was young. In elementary school, middle school, and college, I was never short of friends. Rachel, she was just the most inconspicuous one among them, but I don't know when it started. My friends drifted away from me one by one. Today, this one says I'm talking behind her back, and tomorrow, that one says I stole the person she loves. Baseless accusations are pinned on me. I had no way to defend myself. In the end, only Rachel remains. She always looks at me with those teary eyes and says, Sarah, it's okay, they don't believe you, but I do. I'll always be by your side. She really did it. She sticks to my life like a shadow. Whenever she encounters anything, I am the first person she turns to. She loves buying the same clothes, shoes, and bags as me, calling it bestie outfits. I bought a house in this city, without a second thought. She bought one right downstairs from my place. She said, this way, we can be neighbors for life. The feeling of being watched all the time makes me uncomfortable, but the innocent dependence on her face made me swallow the refusal that was on the tip of my tongue. In my previous life, I told myself, she was just insecure, she just valued our friendship too much. How ridiculous. Until today, until I died once, I finally realized, that wasn't dependence, it was parasitism. All my previous friends were driven away by her schemes. She didn't want to be my friend. She was extremely selfish and possessive. In the previous life, Jack was that knife, but the one who handed over the knife was her, Rachel. It was her, this best friend, I had treated with all my heart for 10 years. In my chest, a surge of overwhelming hatred almost burst out, my nails dug deep into the soft leather of the sofa, almost drawing blood. Sarah, Sarah, are you listening? Rachel's voice pulled me back to reality. She leaned in closer, her face wearing just the right amount of concern. Why aren't you saying anything? Are you feeling unwell? I looked up and met her eyes. They were filled with innocence and sincerity. I slowly unclenched my tightly balled fists. I took a light breath, forcing the almost maddening rage deep down into my heart. Then, I smiled, just like I used to, gentle and forgiving. Let Jack come and stay, right? Of course, that's fine. Hearing my response, Rachel was taken aback. She bit her lower lip, looking torn. But, Sarah, what if he's after my supplies? Even though it's relatively calm outside now, some people have already started looting. I almost burst out laughing. Look, this is Rachel. Clearly, she has the same vigilance and worries, but she never says it out loud. In front of Jack, she acts like a kind, innocent, and completely dependent little woman. In front of me, she acts like a simple, delicate, and confiding best friend who tells me everything. We are the ones made out to be the villains. She hides away beautifully, but in truth, she is darker than anyone, and better at pretending than anyone. I walked over, affectionately holding her hand, just as countless times in the past life. Don't worry, after all, Jack is your boyfriend. Doesn't he always take good care of you? As you said, people have already started looting. He can come and protect you better. It's only the 7th day of the heavy rain. Most people's supplies haven't run out yet. There are even some overly compassionate people who organize neighborhood mutual aid and exchange supplies in the property owners group. Even if there is unrest, it's only a small part. After all, no one expected that this rain would continue for months. Everyone is still quite optimistic for now. I thought the rain would stop soon. I paused for a moment, then added, besides, the supplies you've stocked are enough for 2 people to last half a month. By then, the rain will have long stopped, and everything will be back to normal. Rachel seemed tempted. I lowered my gaze, concealing the surging mockery and coldness in my eyes. Before the rainstorm arrived, I unintentionally obtained a space, suspecting that something unexpected might happen. I stockpiled supplies as much as possible, of course. I didn't tell Rachel about the space, but to avoid raising suspicion, I just went to a nearby supermarket to buy some rice and flour. When the heavy rain first started, I said the weather forecast predicted several days of rain, so it's better to stock up just in case. Rachel indeed followed my lead and bought some too. At the time, many people were also buying rice and flour after seeing the weather forecast, so our actions didn't stand out at all. So Rachel also stockpiled some supplies. These supplies are enough for her to eat for a while. It is precisely because she has food on hand that she now has the confidence to hesitate and deliberate here. She wants her boyfriend to come protect her, but she's also worried that he might be after her supplies. Utterly ridiculous. Rachel said she would think about it on her way back. I reminded her to be careful when going downstairs. The elevator had already stopped, so we had to take the stairs. I live on the top floor, and Rachel's apartment is right below mine. This is a new building, and there are still a few vacant units in the entire complex. The first and second floors have been flooded by the heavy rain. However, since there are no residents on the first and second floors, no disturbances have occurred. But recently, some residents have mentioned in the group chat that they are running out of food and would like to borrow some from their neighbors. I reminded Rachel, just offhandedly, but after a while, I really heard Rachel scream. I quietly opened the door and leaned over to look. Through the reflection in the hallway window, I could see what was happening downstairs. An elderly couple grabbed Rachel and asked if she had any food. Little girl, we're the residents from apartment 502 downstairs. We're not bad people. We've run out of food at home. Could you give us something? Even a bottle of water would do. Rachel shook them off abruptly and rushed into her apartment. While running, she shouted, I don't have any food left myself. You should ask someone else. She quickly closed the door, giving the elderly couple no chance. Once she felt safe, she opened the door a crack and said to the elderly couple, please don't stand in front of my door. I really don't have anything. You can go upstairs. There's a girl living there. I just came down from upstairs and saw that her place is full of stuff. The elderly couple exchanged a glance and actually started walking upstairs. I closed the door, a chill rising in my heart. I know the resident of room 502. Besides the elderly couple, there is also a son in his 30s. The son is big and burly, without a proper job, working as a security guard in the neighborhood across the street. In the previous life, their household was the first to cause trouble in this building. The elderly couple came to knock on my door. I pretended not to hear and did not respond. They knocked for a while and then left. Because of this, Rachel eventually let Jack move in. When Jack came, Rachel even made a point of bringing him over to say hello to me. We haven't fallen out yet, so I let them in. Jack wore a pair of glasses, a gentle and harmless smile on his face. He adjusted his glasses, his eyes behind the lenses seemingly unintentionally scanning the boxes of mineral water and instant noodles piled up in my living room, outwardly gentle, inwardly greedy and cruel. In my previous life, it was this person who tormented me in every way possible, and in the end, he stabbed a kitchen knife through my heart. I welcomed them in with a smile. I noticed that Rachel didn't look well, even a bit stiff. I pretty much understood what was going on. I looked at him, then turned to Rachel, and spoke with feigned concern. You're finally here, I can finally rest easy. Rachel was just saying earlier that she was worried you only said you'd come to protect her because you actually ran out of supplies and came to ask her for them. As soon as the words were spoken, Rachel's expression changed. The smile on Jack's face also froze for a moment. I sneered inwardly. Sure enough, Rachel must have twisted the facts in front of Jack behind my back. If I don't bring it up, I'm afraid this blame will once again be firmly pinned on me. Pretending not to notice the change in their expressions, I continued, I was the one who persuaded her. I said you two are a couple, so he would definitely protect you. How could he possibly take your things? Jack looked embarrassed. Of course, I came here to protect Rachel. I looked at him with curiosity. Then you must have brought all your supplies with you. How much food did you bring? Jack's face grew even more embarrassed. I didn't expect the rain to last this long, so I didn't stock up on supplies. I usually order takeout for work, and all I have at home is some dried noodles, which I finished days ago. But I really came here to protect Rachel. My friend asked me to go to their place, but I was worried about Rachel being alone, so I made a special trip here. I nodded as if suddenly understanding. It seems Rachel's bad mood was because of this. After all, Jack only said he came to protect her at the time, and didn't mention the supplies. In the end, he really was after the supplies. Being fooled by Jack like that, it's no wonder she looked upset. But Rachel is Rachel, after all. At this point, there's nothing she can change. She quickly changed the subject. Sarah, since Jack has come all this way, let's prepare something to welcome him. Seeing the calculating look in Rachel's eyes, I guessed she was trying to get something from me under the pretense of welcoming Jack. So I said with a half smile, are you treating? If you're treating, I'll join you. If not, then forget it. Rachel was taken aback by my straightforward words. She tried hard to maintain her composure. Sarah, why are you being so stingy? It's just a meal. Aren't you even willing to treat me to one? I didn't say much, still maintaining a smile. The attitude has been made clear. Rachel also understood that I had seen through her thoughts. She stood up in anger, glaring at me furiously. She quickly pulled Jack away and left, but I knew this matter wasn't over yet. Sure enough, it wasn't long before I received a message from Rachel. It started with accusations right away. Sarah, it's all your fault for persuading me to let Jack come. He really just came for my supplies. I don't know how many more days this rain will last, and now I have to share my things with him. Who knows how long they'll last. I didn't want him to come in the first place. I only let him come because of your suggestion. And now you won't even welcome him properly. Sarah, why are you so stingy? It's just one meal, and you're not even willing to host him. If you keep this up, I won't be friends with you anymore. Rachel was filled with righteous indignation. In the past, whenever she said this, I would always apologize and try my best to console her, because she was my best friend, and my only friend. I didn't want to lose her, but now I've seen her true colors. Without a second thought, I took a screenshot of these words and sent it to Jack. I learned this trick from her. I already knew Jack before, so I had his WeChat. Jack, I kindly suggested to Rachel that you come stay, but she seems upset. You should go comfort her. Jack took a while to reply to my message. Rachel was just saying that out of anger. Don't take it to heart. He added a smiling emoji at the end. I looked at the smile and forced a slight smile myself. I didn't take it to heart, but I know he definitely took it to heart. Jack is petty and holds grudges. In my previous life, I just advised Rachel not to invite him, and he resented me for it. This time Rachel herself doesn't want him to come, so where will his resentment be directed? The rain grew heavier and heavier. Another week passed, and many people's supplies were exhausted. Many young people in big cities are like this. They rely on takeout for their meals. We usually keep some instant food like dried noodles at home, and don't stock up on much rice or flour. The entire city has completely lost power and internet access. The floodwater has already reached the third floor. things outside are gradually getting chaotic. Some go out to find supplies, while others go out to steal from others. I have enough supplies, so I don't need to go out, but I am more cautious about the outside world. After all, I live alone and am a woman. Many people tend to set their sights on me. Sure enough, late one night, there was a soft knock at the door. Sarah, it's Rachel. Please open the door. Communication devices like mobile phones are no longer usable now. To communicate, we could only pass notes or use this face-to-face method. I stood up cautiously. I took out a gun from the space and slowly approached the door. This gun was something I obtained from abroad. Before the heavy rain, I flew abroad and bought a lot of guns and bullets to store in the space. The stockpiling was also done abroad. I leaned close to the peephole to check the situation outside. Rachel didn't dare to knock loudly, afraid of attracting others. Seeing that I didn't respond, she asked Jack beside her, "Is she a heavy sleeper?" and didn't hear. Jack looked annoyed. He had a stubble and red veins in his eyes. Otherwise, break the door down. Rachel's supplies won't last much longer. At first, they thought the rain would stop soon, so they used the supplies without restraint. On top of that, Jack eats a lot. What would have lasted Rachel half a month is now almost gone in less than a week. Rachel absolutely despises him. Incidentally, she certainly hates me too. Our supplies can only last a few more days. We can't make too much of a scene right now. Besides, there are other people in this building. Let's head back for now. In the end, she chose to compromise for the time being. Rachel compromised, but the others couldn't take it anymore. Early the next morning, I heard a knock on the door again. Only this time, the knocking was much louder. Resident of 1801, opened the door. I looked through the peephole and saw the elderly couple from Unit 502, their son Sam, and a few other familiar residents. Based on memories from my previous life, these residents were not very well supplied. This time, I brought out the machine gun. After all, a handgun isn't great for sweeping fire. What's the matter? I asked through the door. Sam said, "It's still raining, and a few of us residents have discussed it. During these difficult times, we should all help each other out. The residents in our building will pool our supplies and distribute them in a unified and organized way." I scoffed. Sounds nice, but isn't it just freeloading on supplies? That's a great idea, but I won't be participating. Good luck to you all, I said coldly, with no intention of opening the door. That kind of thinking isn't good. We all live in the same building, and we see each other all the time. What's wrong with helping each other out? You have so many supplies. Can you really bear to watch us starve? If we really starve to death, you'll be a murderer. Besides, you're just a young girl. Who knows, you might need our help someday too. Sam's expression turned fierce, and by the end, there was a hint of threat. It was clear he didn't take me seriously at all. Now open the door and we can still talk it over, or I'll break it down in a moment. As he spoke, he also laughed. I sighed. Open the door. The pitch-black muzzle was pointed outward. Sam and the others were momentarily stunned when they saw the gun. Then, they burst into laughter. Has this little girl been reading too many novels? She's quite good at bluffing, daring to scare people with a fake gun. They all assumed that real guns wouldn't appear domestically, so everyone was laughing and joking. The response to him was a loud gunshot, bang, accompanied by the spread of a blood mist. A hole instantly appeared in Sam's arm. Everyone froze for 2 seconds. Ah! Sam screamed in agony. Apart from his cries, the others were pale and dared not make a sound for a long while. Son, are you okay? The elderly couple saw their son injured and rushed over immediately. But they didn't dare to look at me, nor did they dare to say another word to me. After all, the gun was still pointed at them. Seeing that I had intimidated everyone, I spoke slowly and deliberately. I've set up a mechanism inside. Anyone who dares to break the door down will be met with gunfire. If you don't believe me, go ahead and try. Now, get out of here. The crowd felt as if they had been granted a pardon, scrambling away in a panic. Even Sam's family was no exception. I was about to head back inside when I suddenly heard another shout. "Sarah, wait for me." I turned around. I saw Rachel looking at me and the gun in my hand with surprise. Her eyes were startlingly bright. "Sarah, where did you get the gun?" Rachel stepped forward with a smile on her face. "Stay right there, don't move." I aimed the gun at her. Rachel stopped in her tracks, a look of shock appearing on her face. Soon, that shock turned into hurt. Her eyes were filled with tears. "Sarah, how could you do this? Aren't we best friends? You told me to invite Jack to stay, and I listened to you, but he ended up using up all my supplies. I was just complaining to you, and you actually sent our screenshots to him. he even had a fight with me over it. I didn't blame you for any of that, so how could you treat me like this? The more she spoke, the more indignant she became, and her voice grew louder. It seems she genuinely believes that I owe her. I sneered inwardly, yet there was no expression on her face. So, what do you want to do? I won't shoot her, that would be too boring and too easy for her. I want her to taste the bitterness of betrayal by someone she trusts. I want her to feel the pain I endured in my past life. I want her to die a miserable death, just like I did, and Jack. I want them to keep each other company. A look of joy appeared on Rachel's face. She thought those few words had moved me. She quickly added, "Give me your gun, and I'll forgive you. And give me half of your supplies. It's your fault Jack came in the first place, so it's only fair that you hand over half of your resources." She became more and more agitated as she spoke. "Sarah, whether the gun is with you or me makes no difference. I'm afraid Jack has ulterior motives. I'll use the gun to intimidate him a bit. Don't worry, I will definitely protect you." I stared at her. His face wore a faint, ambiguous smile. "What if I refuse?" Rachel froze. Suddenly, her eyes widened, and a fierce expression appeared on her face. "If you don't give it to me, I'll report it to the authorities." "Sarah, don't blame me for doing what's right. I'm doing this for your own good. I can't bear to see you go down the wrong path." I was so angry I almost laughed. Threats are threats, but the excuse is so high-sounding, how hypocritical, and she doesn't seem to have figured out the situation yet. The apocalypse is going to last a long time. Where is she going to report it? I couldn't be bothered to argue with her, so I raised my hand and fired a shot. The bullet grazed her cheek, leaving a red mark on her face. Rachel screamed. Fear finally appeared on her face as she trembled and stared at me. "Sarah, are you really this heartless? We've been best friends for 10 years. I remained expressionless. "Rachel, don't think I don't know what you're thinking behind my back. For the sake of our 10-year friendship, I won't kill you, but if you provoke me again, I promise the next bullet will be aimed at your head." Seeing that I didn't seem to be joking, Rachel's face turned pale, and she finally panicked. I returned to my room and opened my laptop. Rachel didn't know that I had secretly installed several cameras in her house. These cameras were also something I sourced from abroad. They rely on satellite communication and can be used in environments without electricity or internet. I have a battery and a generator here, so electricity is not a problem. After a while, I saw Rachel return to her room. Jack hurried over and asked her, "How did it go? Did you get the gun?" Rachel was already upset. Now seeing that Jack didn't care about her and only cared about the gun, she couldn't help but burst into tears with a "Wah!" She cried and yelled at him loudly. "What do you want with the gun? Didn't you see that crazy woman shot at me?" She rushed forward, scratching and clawing at Jack. "It's all your fault. If you hadn't come, my supplies wouldn't have run out. If it weren't for you, I wouldn't have broken up with Sarah. And you talk about protecting me. When Sam and the others showed up, you didn't even dare to make a sound. What use are you?" Jack was also infuriated and humiliated by Rachel's words. He grabbed her struggling hands and suddenly slapped her across the face. Slap! A crisp sound rang out, and half of Rachel's face quickly swelled up. She covered her burning cheek, her eyes filled with disbelief. "You dare hit me, Jack? Do you even have a conscience? If it weren't for me taking you in, who knows where you'd be right now? Whether you'd even be alive is a question, and now you dare hit me." A flicker of guilt crossed Jack's face, but it was soon replaced by a layer of brutality. He grabbed Rachel recklessly and slapped her again. "You bitch, I spent so much money on you before. What's wrong with eating a little of your food now?" Rachel was somewhat shattered by that slap. She fought with Jack recklessly, not caring about the consequences. I watched with great relish from the other side of the screen. I took out half a watermelon from the space and ate it with a spoon. Nothing is more satisfying than watching a dog-eat-dog situation, because there's a huge disparity in physical strength between men and women. Of course, Rachel couldn't defeat Jack. At first, she struggled and cursed at him, but eventually, she could only lie on the ground and beg for mercy. Jack's animal instincts took over. Not satisfied with just hitting her, he dragged her into the room. Afterward, Rachel changed into a new set of clothes to cover up the bruises on her body. She was terrified of being beaten, following cautiously behind Jack, her face filled with fear and numbness. But when she lowered her gaze, a flicker of resentment flashed in her eyes. Jack remained completely unaware. He sprawled casually on the sofa, ordering Rachel to cook noodles. Water and gas had long been cut off, and the bottled water Rachel had stockpiled was already finished. Fortunately, it was raining heavily, so the water they used to cook the noodles was collected rainwater. Rachel had bought an alcohol stove earlier. But the alcohol inside was almost used up. Once the noodles were cooked, Jack sat on the sofa and ate them voraciously. Rachel was watching from the side. When Jack had only one bite left, he handed the bowl to Rachel. He wiped his mouth and said softly, "Rachel, supplies are limited right now, so I have to ask you to bear with it for now. Once the rain stops, I promise I'll make it up to you." Before today, he would still put on an act, but after this incident, when he realized he had Rachel completely under his control, his violent nature was exposed. Every man for himself, and the devil takes the hindmost. There's no telling when the rain will stop, so the priority is to ensure your own survival. Rachel took the bowl and humiliatingly finished his leftover noodles. A few more days passed, and their supplies grew even scarcer. Almost everything edible had been consumed, and this was the result of rationing, after going hungry for several meals. Jack became noticeably irritable. He told Rachel to come upstairs to get supplies from me. "After all, you two are best friends. She won't just stand by and watch you suffer." Rachel pleaded in tears. "I won't go. Didn't you see the look in Sarah Lee's eyes? If I go again, she'll definitely kill me. What good would it do you if I died?" Jack was taken aback. He doesn't know what he's thinking. After a while, he suddenly smiled, and his attitude softened. "Rachel, don't blame me. It's all my fault. It's my mistake." He actually, for the first time ever, started comforting Rachel, and during the meal, he let Rachel have the last bag of instant noodles. Rachel ate ravenously. "After you finish eating, get some rest first. I'll go out and see if I can find some supplies," Jack said to Rachel. Rachel looked suspicious. "The water outside has already risen to the 5th floor. If we had gone out earlier, we might have been able to find something, but now, unless we have good diving equipment, there's no way to even get to the places where supplies might be, and now it's completely chaotic outside. Where is Jack going to go?" Suspicious as she was, Rachel didn't dare to speak. Not long after, Jack returned. He also brought someone with him, Sam. Sam has been doing well lately. He formed a small group with those unsavory friends he met in society, bullying men and oppressing women, gather supplies from the surrounding neighborhoods. Others were angry but dared not speak out, as he had already taken several lives. However, Sam didn't dare to provoke me, fearing the gun in my hand. At that moment, he and Jack entered one after the other and saw Rachel in the room. "Is that her?" Sam's lecherous gaze swept over her as if appraising a piece of merchandise. He had actually known Rachel for a long time. He had even harassed her on the road earlier. "It was me who helped Rachel drive him away at the time." He had been eyeing Rachel for a long time. Jack flattered him, saying, "It's her, right? Pretty, isn't it?" We agreed. "One time for a pack of noodles." Sam stroked his chin and nodded without much thought. For him now, a pack of noodles was nothing, but a beauty like Rachel was rare. A pack of noodles, no loss. He sneered as he walked toward Rachel. Rachel went from initial shock and disbelief to later anger, shouting curses at Jack. Unfortunately, it was of no use. She couldn't change anything. Sam dragged her into the room. Afterward, Sam left with a satisfied look. Rachel came out with her clothes in disarray. Jack gave Rachel half a steak. "Eat it. It's a good thing now." There's no doubt the steak was left by Sam. Rachel didn't take it. Jack comforted her. "Rachel, try to look on the bright side. What's so bad about this? Just spread your legs and we'll have something to eat." Tears slid from the corners of Rachel's eyes. She picked up that half piece of steak and stuffed it forcefully into her mouth, from beginning to end. Not a single word was spoken to Jack, but I noticed that she secretly hid the steak knife. Jack's violent behavior continues. It seems he tasted success with Sam and is becoming increasingly aggressive. As long as supplies could be provided, no matter the quantity, he would accept them all. After all, it wasn't him who was being wasted. Rachel had reached her limit. Finally, one midnight, she took the steak knife and stabbed Jack, but she failed. Jack had a cut on his neck, but it didn't hit an artery. He hastily bandaged it with a sheet and then gave Rachel a severe beating. After the beating, he tied Rachel to the bed, making sure she couldn't go anywhere. Rachel would take her to the bathroom on a leash. Rachel had no other choice and whimpered in pain on the bed. Sometimes she would call my name, as if hoping I would come to her rescue, but I just watched it all calmly from the monitor. In my previous life, I suffered even more than she did. My hands and feet were severed, and I could only watch helplessly as different people ravaged me. Seeing Rachel experience the same pain I felt, I only felt a sense of satisfaction. But it wasn't long before Jack still died. Rachel is truly Rachel. She struggled for a while at first, but but then she became compliant. It was as if she had resigned herself to her fate. She does whatever Jack says, not daring to resist in the slightest. As if she had been beaten into submission, Jack slowly let his guard down. So when Sam came to the door again, Rachel seized the opportunity to ask, "Sam, from now on, I'll only follow you, only be your person, will you take me in?" Sam nodded with a smile and agreed. It was a no-lose deal for him. He could sleep with the woman without having to give Jack any extra supplies. He had this idea before, but with me living upstairs, they were always cautious, afraid things might get out of hand. Now that Rachel is willing, there's no reason to hesitate. "What do you want?" Sam asked Rachel. Rachel's eyes were filled with venom as she gritted her teeth and spoke. "I want Jack to die a horrible death." Sam acted very quickly. Coincidentally, they had obtained some anesthetics from the hospital during their confiscation of supplies. He simply slipped the drug into the half bottle of wine he gave to Jack. Jack collapsed without any effort. When he woke up, he was horrified to find himself tied to the same bed where Rachel had been bound, and Rachel, who should have been tied up, was standing in front of him with her arms crossed. Sam was also standing nearby. "Rachel, what are you doing? Let me go now." He had already realized something, and his voice was trembling. Rachel looked at him. A sarcastic smile appeared on his face, which had been worn thin by the hardships of these days. She turned her head and said to Sam, "Brother Sam, let all the brothers come in, but since he's a man, I hope they won't mind." Sam pinched her cheek. "It's already a relief to have an outlet in this world. What does it matter if it's a man or a woman? When rules collapse, the evil in human nature is magnified infinitely." Jack struggled violently. "Rachel, let me go. I promise I'll never treat you like that again. Please," he kept begging, but Rachel didn't even glance at him and walked out with Sam. Soon, several burly men entered the room. Screams echoed from the room. This went on for several days. Jack had been tormented enough. In the end, it was Rachel who ended his life, using the same kitchen knife that had killed me last time. She stabbed it into his chest. One strike after another, warm blood sprayed onto Rachel's face. Rachel looked at Jack's corpse, licked the corner of her mouth with her tongue, and murmured to herself, "This is still fresh meat, right?" She found a large pot and chopped up the bed in the room for firewood. The aroma of the cooking meat spread far and wide. When people are extremely hungry, they will eat anything. In ancient times, there were even cases of exchanging children to eat. Some people can still hold on, but some have long since fallen. Jack ended his life in a way he could never have imagined. In the end, not even his bones remained. Rachel also moved out of this house and left with Sam. My camera had no further use, but it's okay. It's easy to guess what she'll do next. The person Rachel is going to target next must be me. The heavy rain outside the window still hasn't stopped. It's as if the sky has torn open. The rain poured down like a waterfall. The water level gradually rose, submerging more and more floors. Everyone was trying to save themselves. Some people dared to knock on my door, hoping I would save them. But I ignored them all. In such an apocalyptic world, the kinder people often die sooner. I didn't actively seek out Sam and the others either, even though I knew they were utterly wicked. My strength alone is ultimately limited. Evil people can never be completely eradicated. Without Sam, there will be Cam, Bam. That's just the way the world is. Given a second chance at life, I cherish my life dearly. My first priority is to ensure that I can survive safely. And I'm quite certain that Sam will come looking for me on his own very soon, because Sam is accompanied by Rachel. Once Rachel gains Sam's trust, she will definitely urge him to come and take my supplies. A greedy person never knows when to stop. I just need to wait here quietly. That day will come soon. Late at night, the lock on the house was broken. The alarm I installed above made a loud noise. I quickly got up and took out the machine gun from the space, and quickly put on a pair of infrared goggles. The bulletproof vest, of course, was always worn. Gunshots suddenly rang out in the darkness. Blood splattered. I heard Sam's furious shout, "Spread out, don't confront her head on, we have guns too, and there are more of us, what is there to fear?" Rachel also shouted from the side, "She's all alone, just a girl, and she has endless supplies. Take her down, and we can do whatever we want." "Brothers," someone pulled out a spotlight. A strong light suddenly illuminated the entire room. "It seems they have found the generator." I quickly took off my infrared goggles as well. I swiftly dodged into the restroom next to me. Through the crack in the door, I could see their group consisted of 5 people. One of them was injured by my shot and was slowly retreating outside, and they were all carrying equipment that clearly belonged to official sources. It's easy to imagine how they got these items. No wonder they dared to come with just 5 people. There might only be 5 sets of this equipment in total. At the same time, an indescribable anger welled up inside me. These scumbags, they actually killed the rescuers. It has only strengthened my resolve to send them to hell. I quietly contemplated ways to make their deaths less painless. Hearing my silence, Sam and the others thought I was scared and started taunting again outside. Lee, Sarah, right. As long as you obediently hand over your gun and all your supplies, and apologize to Rachel, I promise I won't kill you. Of course, the guys have used up a lot of stuff coming here, so you'll have to let them have some fun too. You and Rachel can join in together later. The people outside burst into laughter, as if victory was already in their grasp. Rachel also laughed along. Yeah, Sarah, hurry up and come out. For the sake of our friendship, I'll make sure Sam treats you well. There's still a chance to enjoy life if you're alive, but once you're dead, you'll have nothing. After they had gone back and forth for a while, I suddenly curled my lips and asked loudly, how has Rachel been doing lately? Hearing my words that were almost like a greeting, everyone was taken aback. Rachel was also stunned, pondering the deeper meaning behind my words. Her expression turned grim. Of course, she hadn't been doing well lately, although she had Sam's protection. She could eat her fill and didn't have to worry about her safety. However, joining such a group and gaining the protection of others must come at a cost. Otherwise, why would they let you eat and drink for free? Some contribute with their strength, others offer their skills. What about her? She has nothing but her own body. The body itself is a contribution. It would be manageable if she only followed Sam. But Sam cannot make everyone willingly comply. So the supplies she enjoys were exchanged with her body, from different people. It's almost time. I asked her again, do you know why I didn't just take you out from the start, even though I have a gun? Because of sisterhood. Don't be ridiculous. Because I want her to go through this. The pain I endured in my past life, I will make him repay it 100-fold. But there's no need to tell her about these. As soon as I finished speaking, I threw something out. Flash bang, one more, tear gas. It's true they have more people, it's also true they have guns, but their makeshift equipment is no match for my well-prepared gear. Watching them close their eyes, bend over, and cough incessantly, I leaned out and started picking them off one by one with my gun. Of course, they fired back in retaliation. However, due to their blurred vision, their counterattacks were disorganized, and I was very careful not to kill them right away, until each of them lay on the ground, with 1 or 2 bullet holes in their bodies, more or less. Only then did I slowly walk out. Goddess, please don't kill me. I promise I'll never bother you again. Spare my worthless life. Sam lay on the ground, begging, yet Rachel's face was filled with shock and doubt. How do you have so many supplies? Could it be that we used to read post-apocalyptic novels. She certainly has her suspicions about what's going on with me. But what does it matter if she guesses? No one here will make it out alive. I took out a syringe from the space and injected each of them with a drug. This medicine is a neurotoxin. It causes unbearable pain, eventually leading to death from the agony. It's perfect for dealing with these scumbags. The entire room was filled with their screams of pain and pleas for mercy. Soon, they vanished one by one. Rachel was the last one. Before her death, she asked me in a trembling voice, why did you do this to me? I smiled faintly. Didn't you already guess? Rachel sobbed. Will I have a next life too? She closed her eyes unwillingly. I threw all their bodies outside. I sat back on the sofa, lost in thought for a long time. Debts from a past life are repaid in this one. If there is a next life, remember to be better to me. After hearing the 2 stories above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Looking forward to hearing from you. If you liked this story, don't forget to like it, share it, and subscribe to my channel. See you next time.